Hello, I'm still not Corey, and I'm still also not a capitalist. Sorry. So I saw some tweets that really got me thinking, capitalism bad, and I thought I'd make a video about it because capitalism bad. But before we start the video, please like and subscribe, and also leave a comment letting me know if you think capitalism bad, or if you think capitalism good. Or maybe you think capitalism complicated. Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to see what you've got to say. And also, since we have to engage in capitalism to survive, we must engage with the market. I will say, please buy my merch. It helps me a lot. It helps me eat food. And I need food to survive, so check out my merch. We got Stupid Baby and unicorn beanies. We're almost out of these unicorn beanies. Like, I think even by the time me posting this video, we might be out of them. So if we're not, get them before they're gone. Okay, let's start the video. So this is from Limmy, one of the best comedians in Scotland, and he tweeted out a screenshot of one of his tweets and some of the replies that a bloke gave to him. So let's have a look. Limmy tweeted, "Just watched No Time to Die, one of the Bond villains ever, in my opinion." And the person responding said, "It, the worst Bond movie ever, made a load of woke nonsense." And Libby went through his account and saw that he was responding to a lot of people saying they are booing this Black Lives Matter nonsense. All lives matter, not just black, all of us. All lives matter, not just black lives. Black lives matter? Just black lives? Or all lives? And then there's another tweet from this same guy who thinks that all lives matter, saying, "And a lot more will die for all sorts of things. That's what happens. It called life. How long shall we demolish the economy for goodness?" Wow! So someone that thinks that all lives matter thinks the economy matters maybe just a little bit more than all lives, because capitalism brainwashed you. I'm sorry, you've been brainwashed by capitalism to think that the economy is more important than a people and their lives. Like, it's genuinely something that people in this country think, like, oh, how long can we let the economy suffer? As long as people are going to probably die if we open things up and restart the economy. Don't get me wrong, I understand the importance of the economy, but also I think people's lives are just that little touch more important. I think when we start having this conversation, it basically just becomes one of how much do you value money and how much do you value people's lives? How many people dying is acceptable to you? And for me, I think we should limit the number of people dying from preventable causes as much as we can. And I don't think entirely focusing on what is best economically is necessarily the best outlook when it comes to actual people's actual lives. If that makes sense. Another set of tweets I saw, "Damn, the benches were up the budget that much? That's crazy." And then the New York subway responds saying, "Hi Jeremy, benches were removed from stations to prevent homeless people sleeping on them." Wow! Amazing! People need benches to sit down. So, for example, disabled people might need benches, the elderly might need benches, people with kids might need benches. Most people might need benches to just sit down whilst they're waiting for a train. And they removed them because, oh no, homeless people were sleeping on them. We don't want to encourage people to sleep on the benches, so we'll just remove them entirely. Make everyone worse off rather than remotely help the homeless. The contempt that people have for homeless people is disgusting. It's abhorrent. It's unbelievable. We live in a system wherein people literally do not have a place to live, despite the fact that there are enough homes, and we treat them like shit. That is insane to me. The fact that someone is already so low in their life that they don't have a place to live, they don't have a roof over their head, something most people take for granted, and then we just kick them while they're down, remove safe places for them to sleep, for no reason other than it makes people just a little bit uncomfortable. If it makes you so uncomfortable, put them in homes. Put them in homes. Then remove all the benches you want. Except maybe don't, because other people need those bloody benches. Oh my god. It's just the fact that they are absolutely just going for homeless people, and the collateral damage is everyone else who needs a bench. It's ridiculous. Oh my lord. And here's the email that actually inspired this video. So I think I saw this in a tweet. It says, "Dear team, I'm sorry to inform those of you that haven't heard already that our dear friend and co-worker, Name, has recently passed away. To mourn the death of someone so dedicated is only natural. If you need a moment to grieve, please feel free to clock out and spend some time in the break room. While it may sound insensitive, it's important that we don't let our productivity slide, and I think it's fair to say that person wouldn't have wanted that. And also, please do not clock out while the store is busy, as this will add undue stress on the team. If there are any issues with this, please contact me directly and do not discuss these issues with co-workers as it may cause undue stress. Discussing this may result in immediate dismissal. Unable are the loved to die, for love is immortality. Management." I don't know how someone could write that email and think, yep, I'm being reasonable, this is good. Again, capitalism has brainwashed you, buddy. Somebody died. That's a very sad thing. But do you know what comes before any emotions? Anything that, like, someone might actually be feeling? Profit. The bottom line. We recognize that this person dying has maybe made you feel a little bit bad and it's affected all of us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let you clock out. We're not gonna pay you and you have to stay in the break room on premises so you can feel sad there. But also don't talk to your coworkers about this. You can't sit in the break room and talk. No, don't do that. You might make them sad. Also don't do it when the store is busy. Don't inconvenience us in any way with your morning. You can maybe shift off to the break room and just do it when it's convenient for us to let you do it. That is so callous and so heartless. If you're gonna tell people to mourn or let people mourn, let them bloody mourn. I'm not saying give everyone a month off, but maybe like take a day, right? Shut the business out for a day or run limited staff for a day. I'm sure customers would definitely understand. Forcing people to work while they're grieving kind of sucks on its own, but I guess it can be kind of necessary if you have no one else to run the business. So I can almost understand that. What I don't understand is threatening people with immediate dismissal. You're aware that people are going to say, this thing that you're offering us as this like sort of olive branch, as this lovely gesture, kind of sucks. You're aware people might say that, so you're stamping it out ahead of time. You're saying, if you talk to people about this, if you have any problems with this, don't talk to your fellow co-workers about it. Don't make sure that you can all agree and then come to us as a united front. You need to come to us as an individual. Otherwise, we might fire you. That is so unbelievable. It's so coercive, right? Like, it's so just disgusting. Someone died and people are feeling bad about it. And you're not even going to let them come together and say, hey, management, the way that you're dealing with this kind of sucks. You're not going to let them say that you suck. You are aware that what you're doing is kind of sucky and you're not letting your employees come together and tell you to not do that. You're just going to threaten to fire them if they remotely try to organize. That is unbelievable. Honestly, the way that people treat their workers is despicable. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. So, is that the 14th Amendment? The 13th Amendment? I'm not American. I'm sorry. I can't remember all of your amendments. Anyway, this is so messed up. People say that slavery has been outlawed in the US, but it hasn't. They just shifted it to prisons. People are still living more or less as slaves. They just have to go to prison first. And it gets all the worse when you realize who's being sent to prison in increased numbers. Is it black people? It is. The ratio of black people going to prison is significantly higher than that of white people going to prison. It just seems really insidious when you realize that there is a really high proportion of black people in prison. And the US also has more people imprisoned than like any other country in the world proportionally. So they didn't get rid of slavery. They rebranded it. That was all it was. It was just a quick rebrand. Ooh, people aren't so hot on this whole slavery thing. What can we do? Oh, well, people don't like prisoners. Let's just make them slaves. And people are fine with that. People are absolutely fine with dehumanization, with taking away people's rights, so long as they think that person has done something wrong first. It doesn't matter whether the thing that you've done wrong is like, smoking a bit of weed or murdering a person. It doesn't matter to people. They're fine putting you into being a bloody slave so long as they can morally justify it to themselves that you've done something not quite right. Like, Jesus. And bear in mind, these aren't going to be the people that go to the cushy prisons, they're going to be the people that go to the worst prison. And it's not just in the US, it also happens in the UK. The average rate of pay for prison service work is £9.60 per week. Some companies will pay as little as £2 per hour, and some prisoners can work up to 60 hours a week. That is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. People still have stuff to pay for when they get out of prison. Like, no wonder prison ruins your life. Like, you are literally just made into a worker that gets paid nothing. For what? Because you committed a crime? Shouldn't we be focused on minimizing crime as much as possible? And do you know what a big indicator for crime is? Poverty. So maybe when we send prisoners to prison and we have them work, we should pay them the same as we pay everybody else. Prison labor shouldn't be cheaper than any other labor just because, what, they've committed a crime? That doesn't matter. They still are deserving of whatever minimum wage is set. In fact, they're still deserving of life, of a place to live, of food, and of some level of comfort. I think everyone is, regardless of who they are and what they've done. And the thing is that the system that we live in has let you ignore that. Just completely. If this is the first time you've ever heard of the wage that prisoners actually get paid, look into it. I promise you will be shocked. And if you think that this is totally fine, ask yourself why. Why are some people not deserving of the things that they need to survive when we can give it to everyone? There is enough for everyone. Why should we restrict some people from getting that? And if you're gonna say because they've done something bad, bear in mind that doing something bad, a heavy indicator for that, is not having the things that you need to survive. That is it. And there are two main options here. Either people are inherently bad thing doers, in which case it seems weird to not give them the things that they need to survive just because of something that is inherent to them, something that they can't change. They can't change being a bad thing doer. So why should we treat them as though it's their fault by restricting their access to what they need to survive? Why should we do that? Anyway, the other option is that there are outside factors that can lead one into doing bad things, in which case, does it make sense to punish the bad thing doer and restrict them from the things that need to survive? Or does it make more sense to try and remove the things that cause bad things to happen? Right? That cause people to do bad things. So maybe trying to deal with poverty. Maybe trying to set up prisoners with somewhere to live and a job for when they get out of prison, so they're not just left with nothing. Maybe we should, be letting them train in prison and giving them a good wage in prison so that they have something when they come out. It's unbelievable that we basically still have some form of slavery and workhouses in this country and in the US, but we've sanitized them so that people are okay with it. The next one is a story in two parts. So this image says, billionaires are evil. Agree. Amazon employs 789,000 people. Microsoft employs 167,000 people. Apple employs 140,000 people. Tesla employs 70,000 people. Those evil billionaires are putting foods on table for millions of people. I thought I messed that up. No, it says putting foods on table for millions of people. Here is the second part of this. It's a tweet showing screenshots of a panicked Amazon delivery driver who was ordered to keep working through tornado warnings or she'd lose her job. And I actually saw this or a very similar situation in another tweet thread as well, and I think the person died. And don't get me wrong, it is awful whether they did or not. Obviously, so much worse if they were told not to shelter by their employer and then died in a tornado because the employer wanted to continue to make profit. Literally, the person was given an option between driving around when there's a tornado warning or losing their job. That is unbelievable. And in, a really functioning capitalist system, they could just leave their job. But you can't do that because the system is very bloody broken, wherein people don't just have the power to leave their jobs and find a new one. What are you going to do for that intervening time? What if you don't have savings? What if you're living paycheck to paycheck? People can be stuck in jobs to the point where they can literally be told to drive in a tornado and they'll do it because that is preferable to losing their job. Billionaires are bloody evil. Do you know why? Because the people that work for them earn so much less than them. They are exploited horrifically, which is why the billionaires are billionaires. And also, all the billionaires got a massive leg up from the very beginning. It's not like they just worked that much harder and then they were able to provide for everyone. They got a leg up. They got an advantage right at the start and then managed to exploit people along the way to make themselves even wealthier. Why is Jeff Bezos heading to space when there are people starving to death in his own country? Do you not think it's maybe a little bit more pertinent to try and deal with that issue using your money rather than going on a ego trip to space? I don't think that's a good idea. And when you say that those evil billionaires are putting food on the table for those families, who's doing the labor? Is it the billionaires? Are they doing the labor and then giving the money to all of the people? No, the laborers, the wage workers are doing the labor. And do you know what the billionaires are doing? They're skimming some off the top. That's how they make their money. They're not putting food on the tables of other people. Other people are putting food on their table, putting them to space. It is not the workers that need the billionaires, it's the billionaires that need the workers, man. Seriously, the way that people believe the lie that billionaires are necessary, that the leader of a company is infinitely more valuable than the people who actually do the work at the company to keep it running. It is unbelievable. And like I've said so many times, capitalism has brainwashed you, my friend. You think that all of these things are acceptable. You think that it's okay for people to starve or people to drive in tornadoes, or it's okay for an employer to tell their employees, don't talk to each other about what you think about what we're doing to you because we'll fire you if you do. You think it's okay for employers to hold this incredible amount of power over their employees where they can fire them knowing that those employees could very easily just die. They could die from being fired. You think it's okay for a company to essentially threaten their workers with poverty? That's messed up, man. That is messed up. Not everyone can just leave a job and know that things will be okay until they find a new one. Not everyone has the freedom to just start a company and have thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars given to them as a loan to start up the company. Not everyone can do that. The system is rigged, man. The way that people seem to think that billionaires are really great and really awesome figures, I feel like it comes from this belief that, oh, I could be a billionaire if I work hard enough. And then if I become a billionaire, it'll be because I worked really hard. They put themselves in the billionaire's shoes rather than thinking about all the people that the billionaires have screwed over to get there, or all the legs up that billionaires have gotten to get where they are. Seriously, when you start to look into it, I feel like the only logical conclusion is to think the current system that we have is not a good one. And so many of the conversations I've had where the disagreement ends up falling, to me, seems to be just valuing human life. Some people seem to think that you need to spend your entire life working constantly, just to be able to have the right to survive. And other people think that everyone is deserving of the things that they need to survive, regardless of their circumstances. That seems to be like the main difference when it comes down to it to me. That's what I've noticed. Let me know if you think it's any different. And the last one we're gonna look at, just gonna get in before, just a little bit preemptive here. It's this fun little meme. It's not hypocritical to critique capitalism whilst participating in it. We're literally critiquing it because we are forced to participate in it in order to survive. Exactly. The problem with capitalism, the problem is that you need to engage in the market in order to survive. Because otherwise you will not have access to the things that you need to survive and continue your life and to make children and to continue their life. You don't have access to those things. So you need to sell your time as wage labor to someone who owns capital. That's what you need to do. That is how it works. And that kind of sucks that there is a class of people who own stuff and a class of people who have to work just to survive. That's kind of messed up. There is no option to really not participate in capitalism. And ultimately, the system that we live in really values power as well. And power comes from wealth. So suggesting that all the people that disagree with capitalism should stop engaging with it and therefore, not be wealthy in any sense and therefore not have any power is a really good way to keep your system ticking, right? It is not hypocritical to engage in capitalism and critique capitalism. One of the issues people have with capitalism is that it's almost inherently predicated on exploitation. And another issue that people have with capitalism is that you are forced to engage with it. So criticizing people who are engaging with something when they say, hey, one of the bad things about this thing is that I'm being forced to engage with it, is not the argument that you think it is. It's not the gotcha. What are the options? Seriously, what are the options for someone who thinks that capitalism is not a good system? Move somewhere else? Why can't we make this country better? That's such a terrible opinion to have. Realistically, when people say, oh, why don't you go to Venezuela if you hate capitalism so much? Because I want to make my country better. I want to make the world better, right? That is you can't just say, if you want to change something, go somewhere else. Countries don't work like that. Countries change quite often and quite constantly. That's why we have votes and elections and introduce new laws, because we are changing things consistently. But I think that is it. In conclusion, capitalism has brainwashed you and capitalism bad. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, please like it and also subscribe and leave a comment letting me know what you think. That would be very, very, very good, I think. Also, check out my patrons here down the side. You can, join my Patreon if you'd like. If you want to give a one-time donation, you can do that at paypal.me/notcorry. You'll also go in the credits of this video if you do that. Any amount, doesn't matter. Thank you very much. I think that is all from me. Okay, goodbye.